Hey everyone, and thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this video, this means that you're probably a guitar player who's made the switch to bass guitar. Well, first of all, congratulations and welcome to the cooler side of rhythm section. But I think there's a really big misconception out there that if you can play guitar, then you can just switch to bass without really needing to pick anything else up. This is not true. They're not the same thing. They're not coming from the same family of instruments. This is kind of just like saying the cats are the same as dogs just because they're pets. It's not true. They're from a completely different dynasty of animals. And this is very much true also for guitars and basses. I get a lot of students that come to me after playing guitar for many years, and I see a lot of very similar patterns. And so I brought to you today 5 tips that will help you switch from guitar to bass the right way. So let's go to tip number 1. So tip number 1 from switching from guitar to bass is drop the thumb. What do I mean by drop the thumb? I mean drop the thumb. If you're playing and your thumb is going all across your neck, and I can see it from the other side, and you're playing like this, you're doing it wrong. Okay, I know that this is something that's very familiar with guitar, so that you can sometimes like bridge something with your thumb. This is not the case with bass. Okay, it rhymes, so it must be true. So why is it not the case with bass? We have a very different situation here. Okay, so first of all, our neck is thicker, especially if you're playing something like a B bass. That's thicker neck. You need the support. You need the counter motion coming from the thumb so that you can support your fingers right. So that first of all, you can really rain on the entire neck. And the second thing, the strings are thicker. Okay, the distances are wider. You're gonna want this counter support from your thumb. It makes it so much easier to play. It's very limiting when you're playing like this, and so you always want to practice where your thumb is in the back. Okay, so if you see the thumb going from the back of the neck, what you'll be able to see is my thumb just like gliding, but at the same time, it's really supportive. Every time I press, you can really see that I have exactly the support I need from the other side of the neck, okay? This is extremely important, very different from guitar. I know that this is so hard to make that switch, but do it. It's gonna be worth it, because otherwise you're gonna be very limited to the amount of notes you can play, to the speed that you can play with, to the dynamics that you can play with. So this is something that's worth taking notice of. Now, this is really hard to practice when you're just like practicing on your own, right? Especially if it's a habit. So what you could do to make it easier is practice in front of a mirror. Yes, this is something that all professional musicians do to really make sure that your positioning and that your technique is going well, is right. You can also make sure that your shoulders are nice and relaxed, and at the same time, make sure that your thumb is at the back of the neck, supporting all the rest of the fingers as it should. Tip number 2 is drop the pick. So yes, you can keep on playing with a pick. Obviously, there's great, amazing bass players that play with a pick. There's great songs with a pick, rock, metal, you name it. There's a lot that is played with a pick. But if you really want to play bass and have the capabilities of a bass player, you're going to want to practice your finger style. Finger style is what most bass players play, and you can find it in Motown, in funk, in rock, in pop, everywhere. It's very important. It gives you so many different options in the sound that you can play. And so even if it's a little hard because it's new, it's definitely something that you want to practice. Now, I already have you covered. If you want to learn how to play fingerstyle and mute it properly, you can click on this link right there. Another great video I have for fingerstyle would be the octaves video, so feel free to check it out and take your time while learning fingerstyle. It's such a different experience. I mean, if you look at just like the simple sound, if you play something really simple like this, and you play it with a pick, such difference in sound. And I'm not saying that one way is right and one way is wrong, but if you really want to learn bass right, you're going to have to learn how to play properly with fingerstyle. Tip number 3 for switching from guitar to bass is also extremely important. Know your bass shapes. Okay, I know that you've practiced your guitar shapes up and down. This is great. These are not the same shapes as bass. I repeat, this is very important. These are not the same shapes as bass. You want to learn the bass shapes because these are the shapes that would help you play the more challenging bass lines that you want to play. Okay? Primarily, you should start with the chord shapes. Okay, so here's my tip. I'm not going to teach you the chord shapes here. I already have a video that talks about it. You can find it here, find it here, find it everywhere in my channel. But what I do want to show you is this importance. So no matter what major I play, I'm always going to start with my second finger. I'm always going to start with that second finger, right? Finger number 2, the middle finger, so that I can nail that major third right after, going to the 5. Now this is true for triads, 7th chords, pentatonics, major scales, modes, and everything else. If it's a major, you want to get there with your second finger so that you can have the shape available for you to play anything within the octave. Okay, that's the 101. If you're going for a minor, and this is a big one, you want to lead with your first finger, with your index finger, because if you want to play a minor triad, you want to play a minor 7th chord, you want to play a minor pentatonic, a minor blues scale, a minor scale. See, I can do all of that without even looking because my shape is solid. And every time when you're on the go, this is the hardest, right? You have different chords changing and you don't want to play just the root note because it's boring. You want to take the right shape into it solidly, get into the shape, the form, the position, and then you can play anything. And so make sure that you change up and you learn properly your bass shapes. Tip number 4, shift your focus to the pocket. When you're playing guitar, you are able to go out there, take the lead, take the spotlight, do anything you want. Guitar is an instrument that has the ability and has the right, I guess in a way, to play very loosely on top of the rhythm. Because the people who are really holding the rhythm tight are the drummer, the bass player, and possibly the percussionist, right? When you're a guitar player, you can float a lot. It's cool even if you play sometimes a little on top of the beat, if you play sometimes a little bit behind the beat. When you're playing bass, it's a whole different ball game. You have to be exactly where you want with the beat and keep it very, very solidly with the drums. Tip number 5 is stick to the basics. Okay, well, first of all, obviously stick to the bass. You've already made the right choice. Don't regret it. Okay. Second of all those things that I've mentioned are very basic, but they're really hard to execute well together, right? It's a lot of multitasking. I say it as multitasking, right? You want to make sure that your thumb is not here, that your positioning is right. You want to make sure that you know your shapes. Start with the most basic shapes. Start with just doing triads, but do them all over the bass and in all keys. Next, you want to make sure that your playing is nice and clean. You just switched to finger style. Make sure that you do it nicely and slowly and that your strings are not ringing. After you mastered all those basics all together, obviously, definitely recommend to record yourself to make sure that indeed you have it. Go to simple bass lines. I know that there's really great bass players out there that play a lot of notes. If you just picked up the bass, maybe you don't want to really rush to playing Jaco Pastorius and Flea and James Jamerson and Joe Dart and play all those bass lines of these amazing bass players, because these are really hard bass lines. You got to build yourself to it, and you did switch to a new instrument. And listen to this. The fact that you can play a lot of notes does not mean that you can play them well. You want to play simple bass lines, record yourself, make sure that you're playing it in time and that you're playing it very accurately and nice and clean. And once you do those, you can keep on building up. Now, I have plenty of those exercises in my channel. I have plenty of those exercises in my Patreon page, which you can find right here. Go play simple bass exercises and play them well, and then start stacking up, playing things that are harder with more notes, knowing that you can execute it to perfection. That's it. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you learned something new and hope you got yourself to be a better bass player just by watching this video. Remember, if you want to practice all those simple bass lines and a little bit less simple bass lines, you can find them here in my channel on my playlist. You can also find them on my Patreon page with all the tracks up and ready for download and all the music sheet as well. So feel free to stop by there. If you have any tips that you would like to add, please feel free to put them down here in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.